5 News This Morning starts now.
Coming up, investigators give an update on a deadly fire in Poteau, why they think it could be suspicious.
As the sun is rising on this Thursday morning, it's looking gorgeous out there. We'll see plenty of sunshine this morning and a little bit more comfortable conditions. Talk more about that coming up.
Plus, an Arkansas Telehealth Resource Center is getting an over $1 million grant. 5 News reporter Jacob Luthi will have a live report on that in minutes.
But first, a live look outside in Rogers. Good morning. Thanks for waking up with us. It is 6:30 here on this Thursday, so we're almost to Friday, and we've had some really hot weekends, right?
Yeah, we have.
Scorchers. We're hoping maybe that's a little better this coming weekend.
Yeah, this weekend should be okay. It's still going to be pretty warm, not nearly as hot, not nearly as humid as it was, but still pretty warm nonetheless. We'll show you what's going on across the region right now. We are looking at the satellite and radar, and as I mentioned in the last hour, that they've revoked my privileges of moving with the camera. I think Gloria, director back there, is like, this kid doesn't get it, so we're not going to have him do it this time. Otherwise, we're going across the region. You can see it. You saw plenty of sunshine out there, a few thin clouds. Otherwise, we'll continue to see that mostly sunny sky as we head out to work or to school. Going to be a little bit muggy, maybe some patchy fog as well, especially in any low-lying areas. We'll start to see that kind of develop around 7 a.m. Usually develops right after sunrise. Otherwise, we'll be in the upper 60s and low 70s. By recess or lunchtime, a little bit warmer. Temperatures will be in the 80s, maybe close to 90 in the River Valley. And then as you're heading home, in the upper 80s and low 90s, so not nearly as hot as it's been, but again, a little bit on the warmer side. Overall for today, we are going to see a maybe stray shower chance, see these 10%. Again, not putting too much into this. Maybe a brief downpour at times, maybe some breezy winds, nothing severe, and the vast majority of us are going to stay dry. But the bigger story is going to be that these 90s are going to turn into 80s next week and maybe even some 70s, along with better rain chances to help us out. So we'll talk more about that here coming up in your full forecast. For now, we'll take a live look at traffic on this Thursday morning. Take a live look in the Dyer area along I-40 at exit 20. Good morning to you there. A beautiful shot there of the oranges there as the sun is rising on this Thursday morning. I think I already said that, but again, traffic moving smoothly so far. So we'll talk more about that forecast in just about 10 minutes. Joe and Tiffany.
Thank you, Danny. Well, a $1.3 million federal grant is about to expand telehealth in rural areas.
5 News reporter Jacob Luthi joins us live in Fayetteville with how this funding could improve access to care across the state. Good morning, Jacob.
Good morning, Tiffany. Good morning, Joe. Look, right here at home, some patients maybe in rural parts of the state might have to drive upwards of an hour to go see their primary care physician. Maybe others have some health conditions that prevent them from being able to drive to the doctor as regularly as they would want to. Well, a UAMS program looks to help healthcare providers provide digital health resources so that they can better serve these patients, and they just received a large sum of money, and that comes in the form of a $1.3 million grant, which is funded by the Health Resources and Services Administration, that will provide $325,000 a year through 2029. The funding will help the South Central Telehealth Resource Center at UAMS provide support to telehealth training and access for healthcare providers in Arkansas, Mississippi, and Tennessee. The program offers resources mainly through its website, learntelehealth.org, and includes tools like billing guides, policy updates, and webinars. The center also develops patient-friendly materials to support virtual visits and remote care at home. Their mission: help healthcare providers who serve medically underserved and rural populations gain the tools they need to best care for their patients. Program Director Melanie Stokes says the need for telehealth in Arkansas and across the South continues to grow.
This is kind of the new wave of healthcare, because as we move forward, we're experiencing it all across the country, nursing shortages on the units or in the hospitals and things like that. So how do we ensure the patients are being seen promptly and that their needs are met? And telehealth is one of those ways that we can definitely do that.
Now, Stokes says that telehealth was one of those things that heavily expanded during the COVID-19 pandemic, and she says that it currently continues to grow. She says their resource center continues to get calls and requests from local healthcare providers looking to expand their own digital healthcare services. And she says that the grant funding that they just received is critical for them to be able to help those communities. I'll send it back to you.
Thank you for that, Jacob. Well, new this morning, teams are working to repair a stuck spillway gate on the Arkansas River. The U.S. Army Corps of Engineers says that the gate got stuck at Dardanelle Lock and Dam on Tuesday morning. Workers have tried to lower the gate, but as of now, it remains fully open. Engineers believe the gate might be stuck due to friction or heat expansion or even mechanical binding. Navigation is also temporarily halted. The Corps said dam safety experts will resume work this morning.
The Department of Veterans Affairs has announced additional maintenance funding that will help make improvements to the VA Medical Center in Fayetteville. They're planning a new perimeter security fence and upgrades to some parking lots. It's part of a nationwide $800 million realignment funding.
In other news, Arkansas Governor Sarah Sanders has appointed 6 people to the State Library Board. Lawmakers passed a bill earlier this year to completely overhaul the board, leading to the firing of the previous members. Sanders appointed Sidney McKenzie of Rogers. The bill says the governor must call a meeting of the newly appointed board within 30 days to discuss term limits. And we're continuing to follow the investigation into a deadly house fire in Leflore County.
Investigators are now calling it suspicious. 5 News reporter Claire Everbach has the latest.
The Leflore County Sheriff's Office worked a house fire Monday afternoon that happened just a few miles from here. This is everything we know about the case so far. The house fire was first reported around 2 p.m. Monday near Branson Road and Monks Drive in Poteau. Once the flames were put out, investigators found 2 people inside. A woman died at the scene, and a man was taken to a hospital where he later died. The Oklahoma State Bureau of Investigation is now calling these suspicious deaths. On Wednesday, OSBI identified the victims as 78-year-old Dennis Beeson and 76-year-old Bet Beeson. Their bodies have been sent to the medical examiner to determine the exact cause and manner of death. Sheriffs say a 3rd person was outside the home when authorities arrived. He was flown to a nearby hospital and as of Tuesday morning was listed in stable condition. The investigation is ongoing, and anyone with information is asked to contact the OSBI tip line at tips@osbi.ok.gov or 1-800-522-8017. The OSBI PIO tells me they're still waiting to hear back from medical examiners and the Poteau Fire Department on the cause of the fire and cause of deaths. In Poteau, covering news where you live, Claire Everbach, 5 News.
And in continuing coverage, we're learning more about the allegations against a former teacher at the Immaculate Conception Catholic School in Fort Smith. Christy Castagno is charged with 2nd-degree assault and harassment. Police documents show the investigation began after a tip was sent to the DHS hotline in April. A witness accused Castagno of grabbing a child by the face, squeezing their cheeks, and sternly telling the child to look at her. Police say Castagno was arrested this past Monday at her new place of employment, Pediatrics Plus in Van Buren, after a special prosecutor who's handling the case made the decision to move forward with charges.
Well, 2 parents in Russellville accused of torturing their 7-year-old son are now facing attempted capital murder charges. Russellville police first learned about the case last month after the child was airlifted to a hospital for severe malnutrition. Police say the boy was fighting for his life, but is now listed in stable condition. Chris and Caitlin Freeman were also charged with evidence tampering, kidnapping, and endangering the welfare of a minor. They're expected in court for a pretrial hearing on September 29th. Well, the Republican-controlled Texas House of Representatives voted to advance a controversial redistricting plan Wednesday that considerably favors the GOP. The new map, pushed by President Trump, positions the Republicans to pick up 5 more U.S. House seats in the upcoming midterm election. The plan will now move to the Texas Senate. It's likely to trigger similar revisions in California, where legislators want to create new Democratic-leaning seats.
And families who lost their children in the Camp Mystic floods in Central Texas last month spoke at an emotional hearing. On Wednesday, they delivered testimony during a conference on flood preparedness and what went wrong. The hearing marked the first time the families appeared publicly before the legislature since that disaster.
The picture you're seeing was my last living memory of my daughter.
The camp of my dreams turned into a living nightmare.
Our daughter was at camp. She was not protected. She was not safe.
Mystic, and my curiosity was piqued.
Texas lawmakers are now considering a number of reforms. They're considering tougher permit requirements for camps, a better emergency notification and alert system with more training, and emergency drills at campsites.
The Menendez brothers are behind bars. They have been for more than 30 years, but they could soon earn their freedom. Eric Menendez will appear before California's parole board today, and brother Lyle will go before the board tomorrow. The brothers were convicted of murdering their parents back in 1989. They were both sentenced to life in prison with no parole, but they were resentenced to 50 years to life earlier this year with the possibility of parole. The parole board will hear from family members, defense attorneys, and the DA's office. Once they make a decision, it will then go through an internal review board and to Governor Gavin Newsom's desk. Well, President Trump is increasing his pressure on the Federal Reserve as central bankers from around the world are gathering in the U.S. The annual Jackson Hole Economic Policy Symposium is happening today in Wyoming. The major economic event could impact monetary policy and consumers. Analysts say Fed Chair Jerome Powell may signal a modest rate cut given labor market concerns. President Trump says that he wants him to be more aggressive.
This guy is a numbskull. He keeps the rates too high.
When you compromise the independence of the central bank, very bad things happen to the economy.
President Trump says that Powell should resign. Now he's saying the same thing about Fed Governor Lisa Cook. She's a Biden appointee who voted against recent rate cuts. A member of the Trump administration alleges she might have committed mortgage fraud by naming 2 primary residences. Cook says that she won't step down and instead will provide information and facts about her financial history.